Hello, divers. Welcome once more to the one, the only, of course, except for all the others with the same title. We don't like them. The Deep Dive Podcast. This is where each episode we strive to find something, anything to watch on streaming media. I'm Tom Feeney, writer for Wingshot Movie Magazine, and joining me here in Studio D is not only my usual co-host, the magnificent Mandalorian. Hello, Manda.
Hello.
But also returning after a long hiatus
is Mr. Mandalorian.
Mr. Mandalorian. Hello, Wayne.
Hi, from a distance.
Now
that picks it up.
There you go. Now, if you can't tell just from that brief snippet, Wayne is from, as we like to say, across the pond.
Yes.
And today, as you know, as we're recording this is the day that we lost Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
Yes.
And this was, she was 96 years old, so
Right.
this is not exactly shocking.
Not entirely unexpected.
Right. But it does set in motion a chain of events that is going to basically rock the UK for quite a while.
I mean, you're talking geopolitical upheaval.
Exactly. Plus, there are very few, a small percentage of people who are alive today that do not remember anything but Queen Elizabeth as the monarch.
Small, he says.
Yes. I mean, literally, there's not that many people that do remember a time when she was not queen.
Oh, right, yeah.
She started off with a prime minister named Winston Churchill, I think.
Why does that sound familiar?
Yeah, I don't know. I heard he was a drinker. Anyway, and she met with virtually every president, with the exception of Lyndon Johnson.
Yeah, no one cares about that, though.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
And we thought we should acknowledge it.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's just sad, right? When anybody passes, regardless of your, thoughts and support or non-support of the monarchy, whatever institution that still pertains to. But ultimately, I think that just we want to acknowledge that she's passed and just say, our thoughts are definitely with her family, and we hope and we wish for continued success. At least I know I do. Mr. Mandalorian being basically a British nationalist. Do you have anything to add, sir?
I'm leaning into the mic, so hopefully it comes across. Interesting anecdote. So, people that work in like the Tower of London and stuff are technically part of the army and stuff like that. And I was watching an interview with one, and he said, people come up and say, do you know what the plan is for when the Queen passes away and everything? And he would say, we're not allowed to talk about that because technically talking about the Queen dying is still considered treason.
Wow.
Even though she was 96 and very clearly not doing
also, like,
great.
2022,
right. But it's, talking about the Queen passing away in any capacity and what's going to precede her, is still technically legally considered treason. So that's why if you were to go any places and say, okay, well, do you know what the plan is for the line of succession now that Charles is king, which is really odd. What's the next plan after that? Even though it's very early to be talking about that, they won't talk about it because that would be considered treason against him.
Interesting.
It's interesting he went, thank you for that. It's interesting that he went with Charles III, considering what happened to the first two Charles. But I mean, that's neither here nor there. And as we all know, we've done a history episode, and I could keep going on and on and on and on.
And on.
And on.
Mm-hmm.
But I won't.
QAnon.
Ho.
QAnon and on and on. No.
Ho.
That's a whole different kind of treason. Thank you very much.
It really
Save
is.
that for the dinosaurs.
Thank you. We did do a dinosaur episode, and I think I can rightly say that it was our highest rated. We got 2 ratings on it.
Yeah.
They're both from me. Anyways,
oh boy.
Now that's out of the way, thank you for listening to that. Welcome to the second part of our Bonanza series known as Slashers and Splashers. This is the Splashers side.
Yes, and I want to clear something up. It is not a reference to toilets.
Ew. I didn't think of that, but
You don't call them splashers? Is that okay?
I mean, I guess if you're a splash, some people's floats. Whatever. Regardless, we just lost all of our listeners. But
yeah, both of them. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. It's better that we do it bidet and not tomorrow.
All right, that I'm editing out. Wow.
Anyways, part
Call the
2.
next series Floaters and Boaters.
There you go.
Floaters and boaters. That's why we bring him around.
All right, then.
Were we actually doing something?
You're welcome.
Yes,
Yeah.
this was, I think, number 2 in our series.
Yes.
Number 2.
Number 2. Okay, you know what?
Keep
Be
going.
mature. Be mature.
Why start now? Yeah. So anyway.
Exciting.
now we are celebrating the end of summer.
We are.
And we're sort of counting down to our massive Halloween horror month starting in October.
Well, actually, Halloween started for us July 1st.
Well, you know, yeah, for us,
Yeah.
sure. You know, a couple weeks later for Spirit Halloween, and then the week after that for Target and Michael's, and, you know, all those Home Depot and all
We're
that
still
stuff.
waiting on ULOs. Come on.
Yeah. What's up?
Where's our 12-foot, rivalry to Home Depot's skeleton man?
That blows. Anyway. So we have, as you mentioned, part 1, which if you haven't listened to it, please go to our website, thedeepdivepodcast.com, and listen.
That was a fun episode.
That was. So we've got summer splashers. So hopefully you understand what that means.
Means water.
Yes. So, Amanda,
Yeah.
what do you got for us?
Well, my first choice of the episode is probably one of the funniest things I've ever seen. And also, I'm really excited to read this synopsis to you because I hope that you'll be able to get it just from this.
Oh, boy.
Ready? Okay. A scuba diving instructor, her biochemist boyfriend, and her police chief ex-husband tried to link a series of bizarre deaths to a mutant strain of fish in the Caribbean island resorts.
This is Piranha.
It's Piranha 2.
Oh, the spawning.
The Spawning.
Yes.
dun.
Yes. With, and you would never know if nobody told you, but it was directed by a very famous director.
Yeah. Well, okay. So let's talk about his later works. 'Cause I think you'll have more appreciation. But before there was Titanic, Rose and Jack, before he actually found went down and filmed the Titanic in like 40 years, whatever, James Cameron directed this movie known as Piranha 2: The Spawning.
Sleek, fierce, savage, deadly. The Piranha. For centuries, nature's most ferocious killer. Until now. The new breed is here. Faster, more ferocious, and infinitely more deadly. Piranha 2.
It's tremendous jaw pressure. It's sure to clean me through bone in places.
It's here. It's alive. And it's multiplying.
We spliced in genes from different species to create the ultimate killer organism.
It lives in the depths of the sea, but it can strike anywhere.
Loretta! Loretta, what is
A super breed of killer fish that can swim, fly, and attack at any time. They bred the ultimate killing machine. Now, you're not safe out of the water. Piranha 2, Flying Killers.
I should mention, by the way, this came out in 1992, and it is important to note that this sequel to 1978's Piranha is, in fact, an independent film because no Hollywood studio producers wanted to pick it up. These two Italian producers were like, yeah, all right, I guess we'll take it on. But it remains an independent film to this day, which I think is hilarious. Also, it stars, oh, hey, there's
Excuse
that
me.
motorcycle that you bought your daughter again.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
Yeah, I told you got to make her wear a helmet.
I thought I just ate Chipotle or something.
Not sponsors, unless you'd like to.
Please.
That would make a real splash.
I'm going to
Anyways.
play the crickets one.
Yeah,
right
okay,
there.
thank you. Anyways, it stars Trisha O'Neill. She does have many roles in terms of like famous movies you might know, but also it stars Lance Henriksen, he's in everything horror, but like Terminator, Omen 2. He was in Aliens, and of course, Reprisal of Aliens versus Predator.
Pumpkinhead. He was the lead in Pumpkinhead.
He's in Mimic.
Mhm.
Yeah, so he's in basically everything. But let me kind of give you a little breakdown. So this deals with Anne, who is the the aforementioned scuba diver instructor, and her like sort of, I don't know if he's ex-husband or soon to be ex-husband, Steve, who is a cop. If you're getting like Jaws throwbacks, this is exactly this is the reason why I picked it, because it's literally two people team up. One of them a cop. They got to solve these murders that are happening in the water. What does that remind you of?
Yeah.
This happened like,
Mhm.
7 years later, but it's a clear, blatant ripoff. But
Oh, yeah.
anyways,
One among many.
exactly. And so she's like, hey, I'm a diving instructor. Here's some, lessons. It opens up with that. But then there's these weird unsolved murders that happen. And her ex-husband's like, hey, I don't like you, but I want to protect your sensibility. So don't go to the morgue and look at those bodies, which ultimately just makes her really curious.
Sure.
So she and this other guy she ropes into going with her, Tyler, is like, yeah, sure, I'll go see them. They go to the morgue, as you do in the Caribbean islands, and discover that these bodies are like they're chewed up. They're really chewed up, and that's kind of what in the beginning of the movie where things start to go crazy and haywire. All of a sudden, body bags are moving, and like there's still things that are alive. Turns out it's the piranha, but guess what? There's a new genetic feature in that they have wings and they can fly.
Wow.
So I'd like to point out too, just as a tangent, some fish actually have fins that, like flying fish.
Flying fish.
I don't know if they fly or if they like jump and glide.
Yeah, a little bit of
You know
that.
what I mean? But these ones had wings that were like a falcon. They could fly. And so of course they start freaking out. They pop out of the body. They kill the nurse that's in the morgue with them. She's like, oh my God, this is crazy, which as you do. Tyler, who was basically obsessed with her, even though he's like, I'm only a tourist, he's kind of shady from the beginning. And he's like, guess what? I gotta tell you something. I'm part of the team that helped to genetically create these piranha, and we accidentally dropped a canister of eggs or something in the ocean, and it landed in some weird shipwreck, and now they're all over the place.
Boom, COVID.
That's where COVID came from, gentlemen, or ladies and gentlemen. Someone needs to tell the Who, and not the band. The other Who.
The who?
The Who.
Who are they?
Who?
Ho! All right. So he's like, you know what? We can't set them free. We got to figure out how to get rid of them. Oh, I know. Let's just blow up the shipwreck where they are living and inhabiting. Because blowing anything up always just seems to be the way that these movies work out. Even though in fact, like, it doesn't always work like that, right? So they have plans to it. They dive down to the shipwreck, and she's with Tyler, and some funky stuff goes on. The ex-husband is jealous of Tyler, and Tyler is being weird, and he becomes kind of obsessed, but also start acting weird, and like you don't know if you trust him by the end, and then stuff goes down. I don't want to spoil it because the graphics are hilarious. It's 1982, but explosions happen, and you think that everything's done.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun dun dun. And though I am not reviewing it this episode, I will let you know there's a Piranha 3D, so it wasn't all done.
Yeah, it wasn't like Piranha 3D like 25 or 30 years later.
Yes, it's recent. It's like 2013 or something.
And didn't they do another one called Piranha 3 Double D?
Yes.
Which was
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You can tell where this is going.
Ugh.
All I can say is that if you want like to be scared about stuffing, watch the first one. If you want a good laugh, watch Piranha 2, and then you can avoid the rest. So yeah. So this one doesn't have necessarily the best credentials or the best scores, right? IMDb gives it a 3.7 out of 10, which might be one of my lowest rated films ever in the history of our podcast. But I can do you one better. Metacritic gives it a 15. Wow. A whopping 15. Now, the great thing about this is that it's, mixing with the horror time. And as we said last episode, all these streaming apps and medias are coming out with their horror repertoire. And to get you enticed into like buying their subscription services, they're saying, hey, look at how cheap I am. You can watch this. For right now, you can watch this for $3.99 on Amazon or YouTube. You can find clippets on YouTube, of course. And I think actually you can probably find pretty much the whole film if you really wanted to. But yeah, that's my first pick. It's hilarious. It's Flying Piranha, and it's nothing like, you know, the Jennifer Lopez movie. Or was that Anaconda she was in?
Anaconda.
Okay. There was another movie. Yeah, I can't remember if it was Piranha, though. It was some, like, in the Congo somewhere. No, maybe that wasn't Anaconda. Maybe I'm just confused.
Was it Congo?
No, that was with that was with apes and stuff, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
And like
Michael Crichton.
That was hilarious.
Michael Crichton. Yeah.
About Amy the talking gorilla.
Which was she based on Coco?
I think so. But it was electronic. In other words, it was some sort of like translation device.
No, I don't think I like that. Rest in peace,
Amy
Coco.
likes banana. That's kind of what it, it's like, all right.
She has a little cuddly monkey called her Lovey.
Yeah.
And it's all about the King Solomon's diamond mines.
Oh, yeah.
It has that great scene where they're trying to they're being shot with like missiles, and they use the flare guns out the door of the plane to divert the missiles.
It's some of these things.
Yeah.
Tim Curry in it with a very classic South African accent.
It's so cheesy, but it's fun.
It's fun.
Congo's fun. That's another recommendation.
Exactly. It might actually be something for us to watch.
We could do a whole episode on funky monkeys.
They should do a sequel underwater.
Funky
monkeys.
Anyways,
there's some good ones.
That's my first pick. Piranha 2, The Spawning, 1982, directed by James Cameron.
Yes. Although this answers the burning question, why doesn't he keep that movie on his resume? I mean, out of all the sequels, let's see, Terminator 2, Aliens, and of
Avatar.
course now, he's doing Avatar sequels, and of course Piranha 2, The Spawning.
Yeah, well, I mean, one could say it took a bite out of his career.
You know, in all seriousness, you would think with how much that guy loves everything underwater, that would be like the number one thing underneath his name on any banner or marquee.
Yeah, it's weird.
No,
it's weird. But hey,
anyways,
got to start somewhere.
Maybe that's where he found his first shipwreck.
That's right.
Oh, my first pick. Now yours.
All right. Now, both of my picks take place on the ocean and are similarly themed. Both are, I like to think of, quintessential products of their time.
Okay.
Both represent a transitional period between using practical special effects and computer-generated imagery. They came out at around the same time and are nearly the same length, and are both, in my opinion, a lot of goofy fun. My first pick is the 1999 movie Virus, starring Jamie Lee Curtis, Donald Sutherland, and William Baldwin.
Oh, yay.
Now, if you're keeping score at home, William is the Baldwin brother who is not the drug addict, that's Daniel, not the right-wing nut job and tax cheat, that's Stephen, or the one who accidentally shot and killed a cinematographer while making a movie, that's Alec.
Oh, okay.
So he's kind of, William is sort of the normal, which is kind of unusual.
Wasn't he in Backdraft?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah.
I don't know what, he's still acting, but not doing as much these days.
Also with Donald Sutherland, actually.
There you go.
Yeah.
So while most of Virus takes place on the ocean, it opens in another vast expanse, outer space.
Serengeti. Oh.
The other vast expanse.
Yeah.
Specifically, the Russian space station Mir.
It has traveled across time and space. An energy force unlike any in the universe. It is powerful, intelligent, and it has found the perfect planet to inhabit.
I'm picking up a contact. 12 miles out. Speed, 0 knots. It's dead in the water, but it's big. It's really big.
Hey! Is there anyone aboard?
I don't get it. I mean, we got a Russian vessel, middle of nowhere, dead in the water, crew vanished. I mean, why the hell would they abandon ship, huh?
We got somebody else on board. Repeat, we got somebody else on board. That's who sank the tug.
Drop it.
8 days ago, during a transmission from the Mir space station, something came onto the ship. I took control of computers. He was learning. Learning what? How to kill us.
Somebody welded the engine room door shut.
What is it? High-tech robotics.
Get back!
Now, in order to survive,
It's creating a new life form. What?
It wants us for spare parts.
it must destroy the one threat
Oh my God.
to its existence.
I'm gonna die!
The virus called man.
What's wrong with you? Nothing, no.
So some kind of energy wave passes through the space station, killing everybody on board. And somehow that energy wave is able to transmit itself via the space station's antenna down to Earth and onto a Russian sort of control ship.
Oh, no.
You know, it's like a floating mission control.
Yeah,
And it's called the Volkov.
of course it is.
Yeah. So the crew of a tugboat, a different ship, which happens to consist of our three main leads, discovers the Volkov adrift and powerless. So looking at a possible salvage opportunity, they board the ship, of course, and initially it seems like there's nobody aboard. There's no crew, nothing. However, they do come across one survivor, the science officer, Nadia, who provides much needed exposition, especially when it comes to insisting that they need to keep the power off the ship at all costs because it needs power. And what is it? Well, it seems to be a kind of computer virus that is creating both weird insect-like robots and turning the crew into murderous cyborgs. So they try to establish communications with this sort of alien intelligence. It turns out that it wants to use humans as spare parts.
Ew.
Yeah. So it's basically cyborgifying the crew.
So it's
Now-
the ocean market, not the black market.
Kind of, yeah.
For like kidneys and Tinker
Or-
Toys.
Yes, basically. They're just giant erector sets. Now, the remaining non-Borgified humans on the ship are picked off gruesomely by the little insect robots and the cyborgs, you know, and the ship starts to move again
Uh-oh.
towards a populated area.
Even though it's a shipwreck?
It's not a shipwreck. It's dead in the water. It was out of power.
Right.
But once they restored the power on the ship, this thing started doing its, nasty business again. So they can't let it get to a populated area. Of course, everything's going to go.
Humanity's damned.
Yeah. So the heroes must find a way to stop the virus from reaching land and taking over the world, and yada, yada, yada. And this is total 90s cheese.
Yeah.
For me. It's wonderful. It's like the film equivalent of a plate of fresh hot mozzarella sticks with the side of bloody marinara. Yeah. It's really got everything that you want. I mean, Jamie Lee Curtis is a badass. Donald Sutherland phones it in for a paycheck.
And he's freaky.
Yeah, it's got giant robots, killer cyborgs. And the special effects are really good in this movie. They that's where they put the money, not on, screenwriting, which, I'll take it. Right.
Right.
It's got like a lot of practical effects, like the robots and everything, and the cyborgs. It's all, there. It's all real practical effects, and they're great.
Right.
And if the film had been made even a couple of years later, it would be all CGI and look terrible. So I always appreciate it when they take the time and the effort and the artistry to try to make these physical effects work in camera.
Right.
So, that's one of the reasons why I really like it, because as I said earlier, it's a transitional film where they still relied heavily on actual practical effects. Now, is the movie itself any good? No. I'm just going to say that right now. But who cares?
Right.
It's like fast food. It tastes good going down, makes you feel like crap later on for having done it. What more do you need, really?
Right.
So, Virus. I highly recommend it if you're into that kind of cheese. Sticky cheese.
Ew.
Now, it doesn't do so well score-wise. It's 5 out of 10. 5 out of 10 on the Internet Movie Database. Fine.
Okay.
And Rotten Tomatoes give 12%,
Ooh.
which is mean. It's just mean. Don't be mean to this film.
That's not even like
No.
Ryan. That's like botulism level.
I know. That's like flies everywhere on it.
Exactly.
That's not cool. You know, I mean, really? Okay, it's not a good movie, but it's fun. So if you are interested in this kind of virus, not the one we've been dealing with, check it out on Prime Video, Apple TV, or Vudu for $3.99. Or, you know, just go buy, for your $3.99, go buy a KFC breast deal for the same price. It has one breast of chicken, one individual mashed potatoes with gravy, and one fluffy buttermilk biscuit. Prices may vary, not available in all locations. Just got to say that.
Hashtag please sponsor us.
Yes, thank you. So that's it. Virus.
Okay.
My first pick.
I like how it's like kind of combining a computer virus, but also like a humanoid virus. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Like I said, it's fun. It's not great, but it's fun.
But it's not good.
What do you want?
And, you know, I think it's probably fair to say that when it came out, that was just the time where people were limited by the CGI that they had at the time. So had to rely on things like physical effects, which could make or break it. And it sounds like they did a really good job. And so they kind of made it in a sense.
They did. Also, the director, whose name escapes me at the moment, he was a special effects expert. In other words, that was his field. He was a former special effects director. And so that's probably why most of that was done in camera, because that was his forte to begin with.
I like when people who got specifications and genres come together in a film. You can just tell where people get their like passions from, you know? Well, okay, I'll check that out.
Directed by John Bruno.
John Bruno.
Well, that's why we don't talk about him.
Yeah, we
don't
Bruno.
talk about Bruno.
This is how it is. My second pick, it's always the Russians, isn't it? No, I mean, okay, I know that probably wasn't the greatest joke to land right now, considering, but to be fair, all the bad guys are either Germans or Russians in every film.
Yeah, well, history has proven that to be correct.
Fair. Okay, my film, let's start off with a couple of fun facts about it. I personally think it has a killer cast. Peter Weller.
Ooh.
Ernie Hudson. Daniel Stern.
Oh, wait a minute. Can I guess? Is it Leviathan?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I knew
1989's Leviathan.
What, you didn't go with Deep Rising?
Oh, I thought about it. I thought about doing a Rising /
No, not Deep Rising, but I mean, what was the other one? Deep Star 6.
But Deep Rising was one, and also I was going to do Deep Blue Sea and kind of merge and be funny, but yeah, whatever. No, this is 1989 Spectacular Leviathan. So Peter Weller, Ernie Hudson, obviously Ghostbuster, Daniel Stern from Home Alone, Hector Elizondo from The Princess Diaries, and so many other things. This, by the way, you know what struck me too is that I haven't seen it in a little bit, but the movie poster for this, it like kind of jumped out at me, and I was like, why do I like that so much?
Was it in 3D?
No, it wasn't, but it was also created by John Alvin, who, by the way, did the E.T. poster. Think of another famous movie poster, right? You always think of E.T. first. You know, little kid driving a bicycle across the sky. E.T. phone home, you know what I mean? Anyways, just check it out. It's by John Alvin.
It was an experiment that tampered with nature's most basic laws. It went terribly wrong. It was buried 5 miles down. Now, a crew of undersea miners is about to stumble upon this terrifying secret.
Shack to 7. What's going on out there, Williams?
My God, are you picking this up?
Look at that. Leviathan.
Currently with a Russian fleet in the Baltic Sea.
Currently it's rusted junk and we're looking at it. What's your air reading?
20 minutes.
Do something quick. We've lost him. My crew's in jeopardy.
But you have no proof.
I'm ordering you to start an emergency medical evacuation.
What if it turns out to be nothing?
Oh, it's already killed one man.
My rebreather stopped. I'm losing compression. I can't breathe. Whatever got Six-Pack and Bowman, it's still here.
I feel something. Somebody's alive in here.
What's going on? Six-Pack.
Six-Pack, answer. Don't go in there. Don't touch anything. What are you trying to tell us, Doc?
It absorbs the intelligence of its victim.
Thank goodness you're still alive.
When are you coming? I say we protect ourselves.
a woman basically hires a man who's a geologist and says, hey, come work on my family's deep sea mining area for a few months, and whatever, do some experiments. And he's like, yeah, sure, it's good money. Gets a crew together and they go to this deep sea mining site. Now, I didn't know what deep sea mining really entailed, but truly it is like under the water. It's like a little space station, but under the water, and they mine for stuff. I guess in today's world it would probably be for like oil, that kind of thing. And so what happens when they get down there? Well, they discover a shipwreck. It happens to be a Russian shipwreck with a ship named the Leviathan. So what do? You go in it and you explore. You happen to find two things of importance. One was a safe. Inside the safe is contained notes from the random captain's logs, right? Explaining or trying to detail like these weird murders that have happened on the ship. And then the other thing is just a bunch of vodka, because the Russians, they love their vodka. And so you celebrate and you take a couple of shots and then you go about your business, right? Well, things start getting kind of weird. They start finding these like boils, these pustules, these little globules, and you're like, Pustules.
That's it's a
good word, right?
I love that word.
Yeah, I was waiting to use that. I felt it in my gut all day. I was excited about it.
You have pustules in your gut?
Fun,
no.
Feeling that in your gut.
Yeah, no.
Would not recommend.
No.
See a doctor immediately.
So the guy who drank the vodka and who discovered the Leviathan, they call him Six Pack. He was like, hey, Doc, who's the main geologist guy, can you feel these weird bumps on my back? I don't know what's going on. And then the symptoms of like the bubonic plague start happening. I don't feel good. Hair's falling out. All this stuff's happening. Well, it turns out he croaks very soon later. And then the woman that he toasted with the vodka, she's like, oh my God, I'm not feeling good either. And my hair is falling out too. So she actually, she unalives herself because she doesn't want to end up like that dude who, by the way, is now like bubbly and gurgly and transforming, and think the Fly, but only like sea creature and not the Fly. It's gross. And he's like merging with her dead body, and it's becoming this weird gross thing. And so they're like, well, we have no idea what's going on. We got to get rid of this thing. We don't care that they were our former crewmates. Let's just toss them overboard, because that's what you do, right? Well, before they could do that, all hell breaks loose, and like a tentacles flying this way and like trying to kill other people, and people are getting suction cupped. It's just gross. Turns out that the Russians were experimenting on their people and their crew members with mutant genes or like antigens, right? Like, but they put them in the vodka. And so the idea is that the people would fall asleep and they could experiment, as it were, but it turns them into these horrible creatures.
Wow.
Yeah, it's gross.
Who'd have thought? I mean, you would think that like decent vodka would pretty much kill anything that you put in it.
Yeah. It's interesting because it takes them a while, and for whatever reason, I don't know why, but they don't put two and two together until sort of closer to the end of the movie that the ship was purposely sunk, or is what is known as scuttling. Fun fact, if you watch The Little Mermaid, the sea chicken, Scuttle, his name is Scuttle, and he's always being dragged down by something, by like seaweed or like, you'll get it. To watch the reference, watch the movie to get it. But anyway, I thought that was funny. So yeah, they discovered that they purposely sunk themselves, and it was an experiment gone awry, and so they have to kind of figure out what they're gonna do. I'm turning my notes over because I wrote a lot of notes with what's going on.
I thought you brought a book with you.
Yeah, no, I like when I'm excited about stuff, I have to write it down so I remember it. So yeah, basically that's what happens. Now, the interesting thing about the creatures is that because much like the Fly, bits are forming at different times, they don't look like anything other than towards the end they start looking like those sucker fish on the bottom of sharks. What do they call them?
Suckerfish.
No, lampreys. Lampreys. And they're just long, skinny eels, and they just start sucking everything. It reminds me of that movie with the chest bursters, except that there's no arms or legs. They just come out with a mouth and just like suck. It's gross.
How'd that go again?
Never mind. Yeah, so that's the thing, and I'm not going to spoil the end for you because it's hilarious, but I will say that almost everyone dies. It is gross, and it definitely heightened my fear of the unknown in the ocean because I'm always wondering if I'm going to come across something, and it stems from a childhood trauma I'm not going to go into, but there's always that fear of like going too far into the ocean. You're like, oh, cool, there's a shipwreck, because we humans are just not good for the planet. But I will say this one did way better than Piranha 2. It gave it a 5.8 out of 10 on IMDb. Metascore gives it a 51. So it's not super wonderful. But here's the best part of it. This movie is streaming absolutely everywhere, including Roku, Hoopla, Tubi, which we love, Redbox, Pluto TV, which is really great if you haven't checked it out before, or you could just buy it on Apple TV. But I'm telling you, it's not even funny. Funny is the wrong way to put it. It's just like the late 80s version of like not even Jaws, but like trying to make the ocean scary, like the unknown, right?
Yeah.
Before we got into like super CGI and like that kind of thing. Yeah. So suckerfish, Russian vodka, shipwreck.
It's got everything.
That's all you got to know.
So one fun fact about that movie, it was directed by George P. Cosmatos.
Yes. He was Greek, right?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah.
Who also directed one of my favorite films, Tombstone.
Tombstone, is that the one where Kurt Russell didn't get any credit for writing it, even though he wrote most of it?
Yeah.
See, I think the world owes Kurt Russell an apology for so many things.
For so many things.
He's literally the golden person of our like lives.
Like, I mean, he doesn't.
Tombstone.
Yeah, there you go.
Did you say write it on his tombstone?
It did, yeah.
But do we have that noise?
We will.
But
we'll order it.
Yeah, we'll
from Amazon. It'll come in tomorrow.
Oh, Tombstone. That's a good film. That's
it's such a good movie.
It's a good film.
Yeah. So
Val Kilmer, rest in peace. Wait,
he's not dead.
I know, but he's like basically. All right, never mind. I'm just saying.
Why are you trying to kill her?
Oh, yeah. Anyways.
All right.
That's my second pick, and I'm sticking to it. It's probably my favorite of the two.
Okay.
Yeah. Especially since like Daniel Stern's in it, and no one expects him to be like anything other than funny Home Alone guy.
Nobody expects Daniel Stern.
This is true because it was prior to Home Alone, but still.
Yes.
Isn't he the guy from The Wonder Years too?
Yes, the narrator. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's why I expect him to be.
Oh, I didn't know he was narrating.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. So.
But yeah.
Good pick.
Russians.
Leviathan.
Yeah.
Levodkathan.
Levodkathan.
There you go.
Yeah.
So for me, now as I stated earlier, my second pick is very similar to my first pick thematically. But this time, the threat is not technological, but biological. And I mentioned this before. It's the 1998 film Deep Rising.
Oh.
Yes.
Welcome to the greatest pleasure ship ever built. Good times forever!
I have something here, sir. I've never seen anything like this. It's a malfunction, sir.
That's impossible. Where are they coming from?
I don't know, sir, but whatever it is, it's, big.
They answered a distress call.
Where the hell is everybody?
Now.
What the hell was that?
They're dead in the water.
I got a really bad feeling about this.
The ship's infested. Let's get the hell out of here!
What the hell is that? The girl from Ipanema.
I don't mean to sound like a wuss, but this is starting to freak me out, man.
I vote we leave. Who votes we leave?
Deep Rising.
In this movie, instead of a Russian research vessel, the ooey gooey action takes place on a luxury cruise ship.
Oh, of course.
It kind of starts off like the Poseidon Adventure. Something causes the cruise ship to shake around like crazy and people are thrown around and all that. But meanwhile, there is also a saboteur aboard. As part of a sinister plot to rob the ship and its passengers, because this is a luxury cruise. Everybody that's on there is like super rich. And
Are they Russian?
No.
Oh.
They're mercenaries. So maybe one of them has some Russian background, but I didn't check their DNA results. So these mercenaries are working with the saboteur. And of course, they get more than they bargained for once they board the ship. Once again, there's no passengers to be found, but there is something alive on the ship, something very nasty.
Hope.
Is it mercenaries?
It is, no, it's not other mercenaries, although that would be kind of fun. They're like worse, they're worsenaries.
Yeah.
They're not just as good, they're worsenaries. Oh, I got to trademark that.
That was good.
So there is a massive sea creature called an octolus aboard. It has tentacles, teeth, and an appetite for human bodily fluids. Basically, it wraps a tentacle around you and sucks you dry,
Of
leaving
your blood?
you, yeah, and other stuff.
Oh.
And basically leaves you just a lifeless husk.
Leaves you humorless. Get it? Because like the 4 humors.
So this creature has feasted on the crew's, on the ship's crew and passengers like a buffet on the Lido deck.
There.
And this kind of puts the mercenaries' plans to plunder the ship on hold, you know, because their lives are in danger.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Like,
So-
if they put that in the report, I'm not going to fire them.
That's
on
right. That's right. So now they got to survive. Now, as part of the plan, so the plan was they were going to rob the ship, rob
Yeah.
the passengers, and then the saboteur had smuggled on board, I don't know how, 2 torpedoes.
You know how.
So, anyway, so the mercenaries were going to use the torpedoes to, in your words, scuttle the cruise ship after they had finished robbing it, leaving no trace of their, you know, plundering.
While they were still on it?
No. After they were done, they were going to detonate the torpedoes and sink the ship after they had like robbed it.
Oh, and so like they had already been off the ship.
So yeah, they had the torpedoes. The torpedoes were on the ship. The mercenaries were going there, and they were going to get together with the saboteur,
Yeah.
who was already on board.
Yeah.
Rob the ship. They were all going to leave the ship.
On another ship.
And then detonate it.
I see.
And destroy the evidence, basically.
I see.
So
Why do they have to do that? Couldn't they just rob them?
yeah, but you know,
Why are mercenaries so mean?
see, you got to go with the diehard reasoning. You know, if you steal a couple of $100, you can simply disappear. But if you rob millionaires of all their goodies, you have to make them think that you're dead, or you know they're going to come and get you.
I've never seen Die Hard, so I have no idea what you just said.
You're fired. Anyway, oh boy. So now they have to use. So the plans have changed. They have to use these torpedoes to try to destroy the creature.
The Kraken.
Yeah, the Octolus. Yes, Octolus Prime.
Octolus Prime.
So in this movie, our B-list actors include Treat Williams, and he is a treat.
Aw.
And he's the captain of the boat that's transporting the mercenaries. He did not know at the time that he was transporting mercenaries.
He's not the saboteur.
He is not. So he got kind of hornswoggled too with this whole thing. And there is a passenger who has survived because she was in the ship's brig for trying to steal jewels while she was on the. And she's played by X-Man Famke Janssen.
Oh, I
who
love
was,
her.
you know, Phoenix, Jean Grey, and
Yeah.
the first series of X-Men movies.
Yeah, I love her.
Also in House on Haunted Hill.
Yeah. And so this was one of her first movie roles.
Mm-hmm.
So she's in there, and she's, you know, she's decent. You know, she's a good actress now, but back then, you know, it was her first kind of one of her first movie roles after I think she did a James Bond movie.
She was young.
I forget which one it was. I don't think it was GoldenEye, but I'm not positive. It might have been. So this whole thing, I mean, it's all once again very 90s,
Mm-hmm.
which means, and this was kind of a thing with 90s movies. You know, when you look at 80s action movies, they're fun and they're kind of, you know, they're chaotic and crazy
Explosions
and all
everywhere.
that. But in the 90s, they kind of took a little turn to be a little nastier.
Mm.
You know, they kind of changed their tone, especially during the late 90s where action movies got a little bit more, you know, a little gorier, a little nastier, a little mean-spirited. And that's kind of where we are with Deep Rising.
So
you know,
less Beverly Hills Cop and more like Transformers.
yeah,
Michael Bay-ish.
a little bit.
If a Transformer had a driver when it changed.
Yeah,
Right.
there you go. Yeah.
Think about that.
I'd watch that.
Gross.
So now, of course, once again, with a 90s action movie, there's all the typical quips and one-liners that literally no one would ever say if their lives were in immediate threat because they wouldn't be able to think of them.
But
You know,
Danny Glover would say it.
yeah, he would, but that's, that's a total exception.
Clearly, he's never met me.
So, and once again, just like my first pick, Virus, it's a product of its time,
Sure.
the late 90s, and it relied heavily on CGI. This one did, because it was supposed to be a living creature. So they had to do tentacles and teeth and slobber and
gross.
Yeah, exactly. Now, while it was cutting edge CGI for then, now it's very dated. It's, they don't have the surfaces correct. The lighting isn't that great on them. It's, typical 90s CG where, you got to give them credit for trying, but it still looks not great. So now I honestly think that it's actually a better film than my first pick, Virus. It is a lot of fun and it is well directed. I will say that it looks, aside from the CGI, the movie does look great. And it was directed by a man named Stephen Sommers. And he made 1999's The Mummy.
Oh.
Van Helsing. G.I. Joe, The Rise of Cobra. And every single crappy Mummy sequel. So, it goes
Yeah.
kind of with his,
How much do we love Brendan Fraser?
Oh, man. I can't wait to see that new movie.
The
he's in.
Whale?
The Whale.
It looks so good.
Yes.
Did you see that 6-minute ovation he got?
He
Standing
did.
ovation.
I know, right?
We need to protect him.
We do, Nan. We do. And he's also really good in Doom Patrol as Robot Man. He's very funny in that role. So, yeah, absolutely. Now, Deep Rising does get a rather bubbly 6 out of 10.
Oh, wow.
And a somewhat rancid 30% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Ouch.
And also, like my first pick, Deep Rising can be found for $3.99 on Apple TV and Prime Video. I think it's a cool movie. I recommend it.
It sounds really good. I especially like the mercenaries become the heroes of the story because you want them to survive. I mean, or maybe you do, but
some of them you do. Some of them are downright irritating, and you want them to die.
Yeah. Did Treat die?
No.
That goes like a treat.
No. Yeah. Famke doesn't.
Yeah.
And there's one other. There's one other character, one of the mercenaries, who also manages to survive. But here's the thing.
He changes his way at the end, says, I'm going to become a good guy.
No, nothing like that. This movie does have a kind of a twist ending.
Ooh.
And it's one of those that, some twist endings are really good. You're like, oh, I should have seen that coming. I should have known. Oh, wow. This one was like, huh?
Yeah.
Why is that? Why did they put that in there? That makes
Unnecessary.
no sense. And it's just, it was just like thrown in there to give you one last kind of, jump. And it literally has kind of nothing to do with the rest of the movie, which is just bizarre. And you can kind of tell. It was put in there at the last minute.
That you think that's because the director wanted to include it so badly, or because they had to extend the time?
I think no, it reeks of studio interference to me.
Oh.
Because the original ending, from what I understand, was just, they've survived, they're on a beach, they're like, oh, hey, what do we do now? Hey, let's just wait for somebody to pick us up on this island. Hey. And, then the camera pulls out and then it's the end. Which, is fine. But I guess the studios were like, no, we need something like crazy and twisty and all that. So, but
fair.
Yeah, I just, it just reeks of interference, but that's okay.
That's the worst. Because sometimes, I mean, what is it right now? Jurassic World Dominion. Even the director is like, you know what? Just go watch the extended cut because I think it's better. For a director to tweet that, it's got to be something big.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Which, by the way, I just gotta say, I love Jeff Goldblum. We know this, right?
Oh,
I watched that
doesn't?
movie exactly. Well, yeah, maybe sometimes in the magic of movie writing. Anyways, that was my impression.
Okay?
That was my impression. I loved it for the trio, but yeah, I like the fact that there's sabotage going on, right? It kind of reminds me of the Costa Concordia. This captain's like, oh, look, there's a beautiful woman, and then ends up sinking the entire cruise ship.
What an imbecile.
Right? But this guy's like, I'm just going to go and travel with all these wealthy people. Then all of a sudden there's mercenaries on board, and they have to defeat the Kraken. or the
Yeah.
Octopolus?
I don't think it's
Octolus.
Greek.
Octolus.
Octolus. Did he have 8 eyes?
I think he had
The
a lot
movie
of eyes.
poster has one eye. I looked it up while he was doing that. So, question for you.
Yes.
You can nod or shake your head if you don't want to spoil for people listening. Is that the movie where someone is being eaten and they shoot down the side of the enemy and a body falls out of it partway through? Okay.
Ew. I don't think I want to watch that.
Trying to
now.
remember
It's
if I
pretty
was remembering
gross.
correctly. That was a great movie.
Yeah, it was fun. I really I mean, it's got elements of a lot of other movies in it.
Gross.
It's got like the Die Hard element to it.
Which I still haven't
You
seen.
know, it's got the Poseidon Adventure element to it. But yeah, and it has probably my favorite use of a jet ski in a movie.
What?
Yeah.
Is that how they escape?
Kind of jet ski. Yeah, the two movies that use jet skis the best. 3 movies actually. There's Face Off.
Oh yeah,
There's
of course, obviously.
Deep Rising, and also there's a movie called Hard Rain.
Okay, I thought you were saying Baywatch.
No. Hard Rain with Christian Slater and Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
Great movie. Nobody's heard of it, but it's really good. So yeah, you know, it's
Wait, that's the one that Betty White was in.
No, you're thinking of Lake Placid?
Great movie.
No, I thought she was like Morgan Freeman was in there and she called him a jerk or something.
Maybe.
I don't know. In
remember.
any case, good pick. I think you had 2 really awesome, solid picks. I just had ones that were hilarious.
That's okay.
To recap, my picks were 1982's Piranha 2: The Spawning and 1989's Leviathan. What a cool name, Leviathan.
Leviathan, also the name of the evil god in the Hellraiser series.
Oh yeah.
Leviathan.
There's also a movie in 2014 called Leviathan dealing with another Russian like probe, but nothing to do with this.
Speaking of Hellraiser, have you seen there's a reboot of that coming out?
Yes, I'm very excited. I love that franchise.
exclusive?
Yeah, I'm so there for it.
Yeah.
I love the Hellraiser franchise.
I don't know why you can improve upon the original, but that's just
Yeah,
me.
you can't. But you know what's interesting about that is I'm always up to learn more lore about the characters and how they operate.
If
and,
it makes sense within the scope of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
I get
and I think it's interesting that the new Pinhead is actually a trans woman. So that kind of gives it another kind of interesting little layer there, I think.
I will say on a tangent though, there is definitely something to be said about using trans women in horror films because of the fact that they're trans. So I don't know if I enjoy that, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I think that's, in Hollywood terms, that tends to they tend to overcompensate sometimes.
Right. Here I am going for an ambiguity sort of thing. So
Mhm.
let's use a trans woman. It doesn't
Right.
flow, but we'll see.
Yeah, and it's like, now, Hollywood's been called out for years for their lack of inclusivity,
Yes.
lack of diversity. So
What?
Hollywood's like, hey, now we're just going to throw everybody in,
Right.
and overcompensate until the audience gets sick of it, and then we can go back to doing the way thing we were doing them before.
And it ends up harming things.
Exactly. So yeah, not
your
a fan
2
of that.
picks.
So I had 1999's Virus.
Yes.
Which, some sort of technological virus invades a ship and starts creating killer robots. What's not to love? And my next one was 1998's Deep Rising. So more of a crazy kind of sea creature takes over a cruise ship and starts sucking the life out of people.
Nice.
It's fun. It's good times.
I have one.
You have one?
Ooh.
I do.
We're just getting to our honorable mention, so here's a good time.
I'm not as well prepared as everybody else, so I apologize in advance. Mike over there that I can't quite reach. But 2002's Ghost Ship, which has the greatest opening for a horror movie ever, in my
Ghost
opinion.
Ship.
Good.
That's good. I
pick.
like that.
Good pick.
That's a good one. I haven't seen that in forever.
Specifically,
Well,
the
you
movie
should.
poster kind of freaks me out. It's
Yeah.
like a skull inside
I saw that in
the
the theater,
hollow
and
shell.
then I don't think
And
I've
it
seen it
says
since.
"See Evil" as in SEA.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So they. I'm not saying what happens in the intro because that is far and away the best part of the movie, but they're a salvage crew and they go looking for a ship, and as that's going on, various people start dying in various unexplained ways, and they get stuck on the ghost ship. And then it turns out that the guy who directed them there is some form of demon or spiritual entity who has to get a certain amount of souls to fulfill some sort of quota that he needs to do. And then, lots of gore. Early 2000s, as you were saying.
Very nice.
Some nice CG in there.
Yeah.
It has, who's in it? It has Carl Urban is in it.
Oh, Carl Urban.
And Gabriel Byrne is in it.
Oh, I love that German man.
Slumming it.
Is he
What?
German?
No, he's Irish.
Oh, whatever. He's remember in
Miller's
Little Women?
Crossing? No.
No.
Doesn't ring a bell.
In Little Women, he was German.
Oh.
Yeah.
It didn't do particularly well in the critical response. It has a 16% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
Well, you know what? This is an honorable mention, so we don't have to worry about those points. They
Yeah.
don't matter.
It's Event Horizon on the
that
water.
I'm on it. Thank you.
They never matter that much, but I'm glad that you brought that up
Yes.
because
And then 28% on Metacritic.
very good. My recommendations, I bet you're thinking that I'm going to say Jaws. I'm not, because I personally think that the 1975 Jaws movie is perfection.
Oh, yeah. It's a perfect movie.
I love it. I think you can't improve upon it.
Nope.
I think it is the staple of basically of all cinematography history. I love it. But I think that you should watch Jaws 3D. I think that you owe it to yourself to watch Jaws 3D.
Oh.
And I will say that it's available right now on Shudder, I believe, and also it frequently comes back to Netflix. So, not Jaws of Revenge, which is also hilarious, but Jaws 3D,
Which is not in 3D, which you can't see in 3D anymore.
No, exactly.
So you got to change the title
Well,
to Jaws 3.
3D was
Mm,
no
3
What?
don't.
3 don't
3 don't. I am not happy with Jaws 3D, even though it has Dennis Quaid in it.
Yes, and I love
and
Dennis Quaid.
Lou Gossett Jr., I believe.
Yeah. Jaws right now you can rent it it's for like $3 everywhere.
Yeah.
But so Jaws 3D, Deep Blue Sea, because I think that one's hilarious.
Oh,
but
that was one of mine, yeah.
Oh yeah, Samuel L. Jackson's in that, and he has a thing about snakes on a plane, but this is like whales in a ocean.
Whales
Like,
in a jail.
Whales in a jail. There you go. And whatever you do, I'm gonna give you a dishonorable mention. Stay away from The Shallows. That movie with Blake Lively in it.
Oh, anyway, Blake Lively on it.
Sorry. No, but seriously, its attempt to make the shark or whatever they want it to be, the megalodon type thing, this innocuous creature that you don't see, and to make it terrifying, just failed. Like it just fell flat on its face. And it does a disservice to movies about the ocean and horror movies. So don't watch it.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. So I have a couple of honorable mentions. First one is Open Water.
Ooh, yes.
Which has the couple that get left behind in the ocean.
This is starting to sound familiar. Yeah.
And it's like, they're trying to survive because basically the boat they were on just leaves without them.
Isn't that a true story?
I think it may have been based on a true story. Yeah.
There's so many years that humans have done stupid things. So
Yes.
probably.
And then, but also this is not part of the honorable mention, but there's the opposite version of Open Water it's called Frozen, not the Disney movie, but Frozen, about two people that are stuck in the middle of a storm on a ski lift. And they're just like, they're way high up in the air. The ski lift shut down. They're stuck on it. They're too high up to jump, and they have to try to figure out how to survive. Oh my God.
That's terrifying.
Yes, it is.
It's terrifying.
It is terrifying. Check it out. And of course, the classic one, I mentioned it earlier, the Poseidon Adventure. Doesn't get any better than that.
Yep.
I actually, years and years ago, I actually got to watch the movie on the boat that was used for the movie. There was like a Poseidon Adventure party.
No kidding.
Yeah, it was in San Jose, California.
It's always in California.
On the Queen Mary.
Oh, the Queen
And,
Mary.
Yeah. And boy, that was an experience.
Doesn't the Queen Mary also have a Titanic area?
I think so. Yeah, they do now. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was a ton of fun. That was pretty cool.
You know what's also good is In the Heart of the Sea.
Oh, really? I don't know.
Yeah. Chris Hemsworth's in the newer one. But isn't the book based on the whale ship Essex, which is also like Moby Dick?
Was it Nathaniel Hawthorne?
Yeah.
This is a family show. We don't say that.
Oh, fair enough.
It's the true story of the whale ship Essex, which
basically the Donner Party on the sea.
Oh.
There's
Donner,
no party like
five.
The
no
subtitle
party like a
should
Donner
be
Party.
The Whale Came Back, because the whale came back and sank the ship. And then they survived in a boat on the open ocean for like 38 days or something, and then gradually had to draw straws to see who would get eaten to keep them alive.
Oh God! All right, I take it back. Maybe that isn't. I haven't had dinner yet, and now I'm like regretting my decisions. But anyways, listen, it's gone on for a while. I just want to say thank you to everyone who's made it through to the end of the episode.
You're a trooper.
You are definitely a splasher. This was part 2 of our Slashes and Splashers precursor episode to our extravaganza known as Halloween Horror Month.
Oh, yes.
Which, if you have been following us for any length of time, we talk about it pretty much every episode because it's something that we love. It keeps us coming back. And in fact, I think this is the only reason why we do this podcast is to get to October 1st.
Pretty much.
So, if you by any chance are curious, and why wouldn't you be, head over to the deepdivepodcast.com. You'll find our entire database of old episodes, minus episode 1. We don't talk about that. And you'll be able to listen on previous years. I highly recommend 2019's and 2020's because that was like pre-pandemic and like during pandemic, and we had to find some creative movies.
Yes.
And I gotta tell you, during the pandemic, when everything was on streaming media, there's some great choices there. You can also visit our merch stand. We usually have a lot of selections. I mean, quite a few, but we also have seasonal things such as a Halloween t-shirt. And we're so lucky because your daughter this year is offering her creative services to draw up our new t-shirt design.
That's right. And as of the day that this is posted,
tomorrow,
that t-shirt
Yes.
will be available
Ooh.
for purchase.
Yes. And if you don't hate people, you should buy that shirt.
Yes. And also there's also a brand new design as well that is a mystery design.
Oh, it's a mystery design.
It's a mystery design. So
I don't even know about this mystery design.
You'll have to check it out. If you're old like me, you'll get the reference of the design, but if not, it's still cute. So yes. Now that also, by the way, and you know, if you're keeping score, Halloween Horror Month starts October 7th and is also marks the beginning of season 5 of the Deep Dive podcast.
Where did the time go?
I don't know. I thought for sure we would have been canceled by now.
We were such young. Well, I mean, one of us was, and it was just a long time
and
ago.
that's all we have for today.
5 years. That's pretty awesome.
That's pretty awesome.
That's pretty cool. So thank you to everybody who's listened to us from the beginning, you know, who took a chance on someone who's extremely knowledgeable about movies, and then me.
Yes.
You were not supposed to hit that joke. That hurts me more than you know.
See? Hey, you know, I got a lot of years on you, so it's, you know, that's fine.
Yeah, we know that.
So now, also, we are going to start counting down to Halloween Horror Month.
Yes.
And so we're going to be counting down with our other recurring podcasts as well. So Deep Dive Microcast, Mysteries of the Deep, and Pilot Error will all feature tales of the terrifying. So don't miss them. That's going to be our countdown to Halloween Horror Month. That begins October 7th.
Pilot Error is going to be good. I bet you there's a lot of choices there.
There are a surprising number of failed horror TV pilots.
So yeah, deepdivepodcast.com, the deepdivepodcast.com. You'll find links to our social media, including Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and an email. Hey, we love hearing from you. I mean, in fact, we really love it. We had some suggestions from previous listeners and previous episodes, and they've gone over a hoot, as someone from Tom's generation might say.
Hoot.
So if you have a suggestion for a Halloween movie, get it in, email us, and you never know, we might just, you know, read it and not credit you or credit you or something. Reach out. We want to talk to you. Reach out.
We do.
Give a hug.
Yeah.
A virtual hug.
A virtual hug. Not creepy at all.
Not at all.
No.
We're vaccinated.
Yes, and boosted.
Jinx.
Oh, man.
That's a good time to end this.
Oh, boy.
Listen, thank you for listening.
Yes, thank you so much. On behalf of the magnificent Mandalorian and
Our
the Wayne
special
DeLorean, our
guest.
special guest.
Wayne DeLorean.
The Wayne DeLorean.
You know what's funny about
He
that?
doesn't like that.
He doesn't like it, but also it's funny because it's not so much the Mandalorian, it's more like Back to the Future DeLorean.
Oh.
Yeah. And he is older than me, so.
Okay, that's fine then.
Anyways.
So, don't forget to tell your friends.
Tell your pets.
Tell your enemies. Tell your imaginary friend.
Tell your credit card companies.
Oh, no, don't talk to them. Yeah. All right, we will catch you next time.
See ya.
Bye. All clips used in this podcast are meant for educational purposes only and not to infringe on existing copyrights. The Deep Dive Podcast is a production of Automaton Studios.